All right, so we're diving into something pretty important today. For those of you out there, either going through it yourself or maybe you know someone who
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
We're looking at the U.S. Citizenship Interview.
Big one.
Yeah, a big one. And to help us out, we've got this guide called U.S. Citizenship Interview, Don't Make These Mistakes, 2025 Guide.
Catchy.
Yeah, very catchy. And, we want to help you guys avoid any pitfalls. Make sure you're feeling prepared for this whole thing.
Absolutely. This guide is like having a cheat sheet almost. It's packed with advice and warnings straight from the experiences of people who've been through it.
Right. And I think one of the first things that jumps out from this guide is how crucial that application form is, like getting it right the first time.
Yeah, filling it out completely and accurately is huge. I mean, it sounds basic, right?
You'd think so.
But you'd be surprised how many people trip up on this part.
Really?
It's wild, right? Like even small inconsistencies can raise red flags for the officer interviewing you.
Oh, really? Like what kind of inconsistencies?
We'll say there's a slight date difference between two documents, or maybe you forgot to list a previous address. Those little things, they can trigger further scrutiny.
I see. So they're really looking for any discrepancies that might suggest there's something, fishy going on.
Exactly. They're trained to spot those patterns because unfortunately sometimes they do point to deeper issues.
Makes sense. So the guide is really stressing that we need to review every single detail on that application.
Meticulously.
And it doesn't stop there, right? It's not just about what you submit initially, but also how your answers during the interview match up with what's on that form.
Oh yeah, that's key. Any discrepancies between what you said on paper and what you're saying now, well, that just opens up a whole can of worms.
So this is making me think, like, how well do I actually remember all those details about my own immigration history?
Right. And that's why that guide really hammers home the importance of reviewing your entire application just before the interview.
Makes you want to brush up on everything.
Absolutely. Be ready to explain anything that even seems a little bit ambiguous.
Okay, good advice.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the civics test, because that's another biggie, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not just about memorizing facts here. It seems like they want to see that you actually get it,
Yeah, they want to see a genuine understanding of U.S. civics and history.
Exactly. And the guide even hints that interviewers might throw in some follow-up questions to test you on that.
Oh, yeah. They want to make sure you're not just parroting answers you've memorized, but that you've actually grasped the core principles.
That's interesting. Now, this next part, this is where it gets really real.
Yeah.
The guide is super adamant about being honest and disclosing everything.
No holding back.
Yeah, even if you're worried about how it might sound.
Transparency is king here. The guide makes it crystal clear that trying to hide something is way worse than just addressing it head on.
So basically, be upfront, be honest, because building that trust with the interviewer is super important.
Absolutely. It shows you're approaching the process with integrity.
Now, the guide also mentions something about English language proficiency.
Right, which makes sense since the interview is partly about assessing your English skills.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The guide actually advises against pretending to understand if you don't.
Don't fake it.
It's totally okay, and even encouraged to ask for clarification.
Yeah, if you need a question repeated or explained, just ask. The guide actually frames that as a sign of respect for the process.
Interesting. So it's better to be sure you understand the question than to give an answer that's, off base.
Exactly. Clear communication is key here.
Okay, so taking all this in, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, I'd say the guide really highlights the importance of being prepared, being accurate, and being completely honest.
Thorough preparation, being honest, and giving precise answers. Those are the ingredients for a successful interview.
And by avoiding these common mistakes, you really boost your chances of a smooth experience.
I think this U.S. Citizenship Interview, Don't Make These Mistakes, guide is a great resource for anyone going through this process.
It's a must-read.
Now, with all this in mind, think about your own application and your own background. Are there any areas that might need a little extra attention based on what we've talked about today?
What steps can you take today to make sure everything is accurate and crystal clear?
That's something for you to think about as you get ready for this big step.
Good luck.
Yeah, best luck to everyone out there.